Hi people, welcome to My Left Ear. I am Carrie Freeman, the writer, director, producer of My Left Ear. The reason it's called My Left Ear are two reasons. I get a lot of intuitive information, and for whatever reason, it comes through my left side, and the thoughts and direction come through my left ear. And then also, this is a left-leaning Democratic site. So if you're not aligned with that, you probably wouldn't like me, and you probably should move on. Just friendly advice. So what I do when I'm not doing this is that I'm an author and I write books, but I also help people through private sessions. I do psychic coaching, which I have to send you a one sheet about that, or there's a video below about the psychic coaching, and I do therapeutic hypnosis. So it's all about helping people change and move forward. And it's been going really well. I have a new Patreon channel that's a lot of fun, and there's information for that in the community page. I'm teaching the runes, but I'm also telling some really fun celebrity stories that are delightful. They're not dishy or hurtful in any way, but they're delightful, and they're personal stories. They're not rumors. And I always have to say, because I'm going to talk about politics and predictions, this is for entertainment purposes only. All right, so we had the 7th 1/6 committee hearing yesterday, and each hearing is a blockbuster, and each one is bigger than the next, and they're sort of building on each other. They're building on each other. So here's a fact, just a little fact, and you probably know about it already. Trump has been reported to the DOJ for witness tampering. There's been 2 incidences of it. One has to do with the witness that hasn't even showed up yet, but they got a phone message. Can you imagine like hearing Trump on your phone? Oh my God, that would be alarming. And so the person, male or female, did not answer, turned it over to their lawyer, and the lawyer shared it with the committee, and the committee turned it over to the DOJ. So that's more stuff for the DOJ, all right? Now, one of the big things that I vaguely knew about, but this really illuminated, yesterday's testimony really illuminated that there was this December 18th insane meeting at the White House with Trump, with Flynn, Sidney Powell, and the guy who owns Overstock.com. And it was private. And Cassidy Hutchinson, who we've already met through the hearings, got wind of it, that these people were alone in the Oval Office with Trump, and none of the staff knew. She contacted Pat Cipollone and said, by the way, there's people in the Oval Office with the president. He went in, Pat Cipollone, the chief White House attorney, went in, not Trump's attorney, the White House attorney, and he was shocked. And there was Sidney Powell and the Overstock guy and Flynn. And he looked at the Overstock guy and said, who are you? So that December meeting was wild. And according to reports, it was 6 hours of screaming and yelling, name calling, and I understand it almost got physical. They're saying it was wild, it was unhinged. But they were there to discuss the overthrow of the government and how to achieve it. And it's crazy and it's criminal, okay? Both. So Cipollone pushed back to the crazy group and asked, where's the evidence? They could not answer that question. There's a lot of double talk, but they couldn't answer that question. So this went on for 6 hours, and finally people left. And evidently, Trump texted his Proud Boys, his people, his militia at like 1 or 1:30 in the morning, and said, it's on, come to the Capitol. And so word spread, and nobody knew that Trump had texted that out. And during this 6-hour jam of yelling, screaming, the idea came up, the proposition came up to seize the voting machines. I think that was Trump's idea. And once again, Cipollone said, you cannot seize voting machines. You cannot do it. So they dropped it. But when everybody left, Trump, contacted his people, said, be there. All right. Then the next thing that came out that's really great because it's got specific names. We all knew this happened, that there were 10 House Republicans that met with Trump in December of 2020, right around the time of the crazy 6-hour jam, to plan the January 6th objections. And so these Republicans are Representative, I'm going to say Rep, but to start with, Representative Brian Babin, Texas, Andy Biggs, Arizona, Matt Gaetz, Florida, Louis Gohmert, Texas, he's gone, he's not coming back, Paul Gosar, Arizona, Jody Hice, Georgia, Jim Jordan, Ohio, Scott Perry, Pennsylvania, and the lovable Marjorie Taylor Greene, Georgia. So I threw some runes. I threw some runes on, will the 10 House Republicans face expulsion? All right. So I pulled the rune of protection. And by the way, this is always a little plug. I'm teaching these on my Patreon. And that's kind of why I'm not holding them up now. So if you're really curious, come over to Patreon. It's not expensive. Protection. Control of emotions is at issue here because these Republicans are freaking out. They've been caught. It says new opportunities and challenges. Challenges are typical of this rune. The opportunity we want to give evidence, testify. And it says, this is about shifts in life course and accelerated self-change. And I would say this will be causing a shift in life course. And it would definitely contribute to accelerated change. This is a shakeup. And with this rune, expect trespasses and unwanted influences. It says the battle is always with the self. This is true of everything, right? Be mindful, people. You PUBS, that's what I like to call them. Be mindful that correct action and timely action are vital. Get smart, not the TV show. Do not try to pull down the veil and escape from life. That is the first message from protection. All right. Now the middle rune is very interesting, and this is where interpretation comes in. This is where I really come in. The rune is of possessions, and don't let it freak you out. It's a rune of fulfillment, ambition satisfied, rewards. This rune calls for a deep probing of the meaning of profit and gain in one's life, their lives. They are held accountable, and that ambition is satisfied, but not to their satisfaction. So this rune of fulfillment, I just went to, it's our fulfillment when they get their just desserts, okay? Now, the last rune that I chose about these 10 PUBS is the rune of flow, but it's in the reverse position. Here it is. A warning against overreach, excessive striving, counsel against trying to exceed your own strength or operate beyond the power you have funded to date. And it advises, go within. So, I do think, based on this, that there are going to be consequences. I use the word expulsion. I'd like to see expulsion, but there has to be consequences, okay? So I went into that, and I want to share that with you. Michael Beschloss, who is a historian, I happen to follow him on Twitter. He's a very elegant, classy man. He foreshadowed something. And what he foreshadowed is Trump told reporters in late November 2020, after being asked if he would leave the White House, he said, "I think there will be a lot of things happening between now and the 20th of January, / a lot of things." So there was the foreshadowing. He's always giving himself away, right? Trump is always giving us a preview. We just have to listen to him. So I did another rune. I went a little rune crazy today. I know you like it. I asked, because it's really a conversation on Twitter. I don't think it should be right now, but since it's up, I pulled the runes. Will Joe Biden run in 22? Now, I'll share with you. My left ear originally, well over a year ago, said, I think he's one term. I don't think Jill would want him to do a second term. But I might be wrong. I'm just sharing with you that originally I was like, I think this is going to be one term. All right, so here's what I got. I got the blank rune, which is nothing on it, and it stands for unknowable. It's kind of a frustrating rune, but it's interesting. Listen carefully. The blank rune is the end and the beginning. So I believe that speaks to second term. You know, the end of the first term, the beginning of the second term. That's Carrie's interpretation, my left ear's interpretation. It's a rune of total trust. It does bring up fears and doubts, and it calls for an act of courage. It is the path of karma. Then I got the gateway rune reversed. And the gateway rune reverse says there's a quickening of development. There's growth that may accelerate, and that could be his polls. People don't talk about the polls can go back up. They just want to bash the polls right now for Joe Biden with many things that are not his fault, by the way. But there you go. That's the way it is, and that's the media, et cetera, et cetera. So it advises to reconsider the old and integrate into the new, which means when it comes up to 2024, right before 2024, I think he's going to be reevaluating what he's done and what he's going to do. And he's probably going to hear from valuable aides about, let's go in this direction, sir. Let's get stronger on this time. That's my interpretation. But the last rune really kind of says it all. It's the rune of movement, which means transit. So it's transition into new life. And with Trump handled and gone, which my left ear does not think he's going to be able to run, okay? I just don't. I never have. I can always be wrong. But here's the thing. With Trump gone or indicted or in just such a tight spot, it really is a transition into a new life for Joe Biden, should he win. Improving or strengthening a situation or position, and that would be the second term. And it says there is safety in your position. Now, he's been saying it. He can do so much for this country and people if he just gets 2 or 3 more Democrats. Actually, he says 2. I'd like to get 3 for good measure, but 2, because they would override Kristen Sinema and that Republican, Joe Manchin, who sits in the Democratic Senate. And that the majority remains in the House, which my left ear has felt that was going to happen, especially if a lot of those seditious 10 are just drop off the map. We will see. The midterms are soon. But it says there is safety in your position. So I want to say, I want to say it looks like he's going to run in 2024. I don't know that Jill really wants him to. We get the feeling that she wants him to enjoy his life at his age, but he's got a mission. He's got a mission, and it's a sincere mission. The whole world is suffering financially right now. It's not just the United States, and the gas prices are not just the United States, but the other side wants to, blame Biden. He's used to it. He's tough. He's tough. Now, much has been said about Mark Meadows by Cassidy Hutchinson and yesterday. So I pulled the rune. Has Mark Meadows flipped? Because I think there would be good reason for him to flip, because he's in very bad shape right now. And the first rune I got was Warrior reversed. And it says to Mark Meadows, there is danger in hasty or ill-timed action. Your life force leaks out or spills away. Matters of trust and confidence are at issue here. So that sounds like flip, doesn't it? And are related to your way of being in the world, because he's not an honest guy. No matter what day you talk to him, he's got a different answer. He's not reliable. He's only reliable in the fact that he wants as much money as possible and he wants to stay in some kind of power. It says, this has to do with Mark Meadows flipping, an association may be short-lived. Do you think? It has fulfilled its span. This is what it has fulfilled its span. I want to say no blank, Sherlock. Examine your motives. Are you lusting after outcomes like no jail time? The second rune of defense speaks of avertive powers. If there is an obstacle in your path, Mark Meadows, remember that a delay may be beneficial. It speaks to the difficulties that arise at the beginning of new life. And if he flips, that's the beginning of his new life, that's for sure. Foresight is called for here. Avert difficulties through right action. Right action would be telling the truth, Marquis. You are put on notice that through inconvenience and discomfort, oh my God, growth is promoted. Then the last one, we got movement again. This happens. Sometimes you pick the same rune several times in the same day. Again, a rune of transition, of new life. Listen, new life could be prison too. Even if he flips, I have a hard time imagining him not getting prison time, because he did a lot of stuff. But here we go. It signifies movement in regard to bettering any situation. Maybe he'll cut a deal. And it says a relationship may need to undergo a change. And of course that would be not just the relationship to himself, but the relationship to Trump, because I don't feel there's probably anybody in the GOP that is self-reflective or has insight. Not that many people have insight anymore. And Cassidy Hutchinson stated that Meadows' agenda was to keep Trump in office. And she actually shared with us that Meadows began looking for constitutional loopholes to do that. So he was desperate also. All right. Here's the final rune. Will Merrick Garland pick up speed in the next month? I thought that was kind of a good way to frame it. Like, will he ever, blah, blah, blah. I said, will he pick up speed in the next month? I picked one rune because it gave me the answer. Sometimes it just happens that way, and the answer is yes. I got the rune of opening. Opening. And this rune is about an opening, renewed clarity, dispelling darkness, shrouding some part of our lives. This rune is about serious intent. And we know if Merrick Garland shows up, it's going to be with serious intent and concentration at the beginning of a lot of work. It may serve as a trigger to the light of awareness and understanding. Merrick is going to step up. This was very clear to me. I didn't even need to have to pick more runes. So just chomp on that. You know, watching yesterday's hearings, I was in and out of it. I got interrupted. By the way, to one of my subscribers, I did see, this is Stephen Ayers, kind of like short red hair, and he had a tie and a suit jacket. His wife sitting behind him, and I did see the looks on her face. And I have to just say, it's hard to interpret. Something might have happened in the room that annoyed her. She might be reflecting how miserable her life has been. It's hard to know. But yes, I did see the rather disgusted look on her face. But once again, it's interpretation. And my left ear just really didn't go there, you know? So I don't have a clear answer for you, but I saw that she was a very unhappy person. Listen, he upended their life. Stephen made choices, and they probably lost a lot of money. I don't know if they had a home, but he lost his job. And really, it's amazing they're still married. But yes, so he was there, and he was, you know, very, I don't know, low-key, trying to be genuine. I believe what I got is not a highly educated person because of some words and phrases he used. But what I want to say is, I thought maybe he was Proud Boy, but I don't think he is. He got into the Capitol, and they found his Facebook account, and they got a warrant for it. So through the warrant, they saw that he was quite the rebel rouser. And then they arrested him, and he entered a plea agreement. And the agreement was guilty of disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building. So when Liz Cheney asked him, do you still believe that Trump won the election? And it was unbelievable. The kid is still kind of vague about it. And he said, you know, somewhat shocking, as if part of him still believed. Hard to read what was going on, just like I said. But he did take responsibility, and he was very angry at Trump. He sees that he was used and punked. And when he got up, it was filmed that he walked over to Officer Harry Dunn and apologized to him. Kind of embarrassing, I think, for Harry Dunn. When I looked at the picture, I felt that Harry Dunn said accepted, but it was begrudgingly, not begrudgingly with a bad attitude, but just a feeling of Harry not being ready to accept the apology. And Ayers wanted to hug him and reach down and hug him. So that was that. I think Mr. Stephen Ayers is just a sad character, you know, a sad character that was used. Now, as I'm closing up here, what I picked up on these little words and phrases that were reported to come out of Trump's mouth about this whole January 6th event. And things like arms, a firing squad, a day of rope. And then there was a discussion. Someone had said that, I don't know, it was a Proud Boys or one of these factions had put together playing cards with names of people that the GOP wanted dead. And Hillary Clinton was one of those playing cards. And Trump liked all these phrases. And he wanted the violence because he insisted that the metal detectors be removed. Get rid of them, get rid of them, get rid of them. We know this through Hutchinson. Now, it's Wednesday, and there was talk of a prime time hearing tomorrow night, but I think it's been postponed. And by the way, when that happens, they're dealing with so much. I don't believe, in my lived ear, that there's anything wrong. It's just they're in production, and sometimes it's difficult to pull it together. So they may be waiting for a couple of moving parts or somebody. and they will, but I'm not sure if it's tomorrow night. We'll check later on and see. Okay. Just take a deep breath. I just covered some of it. I'm gonna go with the quotes right this minute, because I didn't have a lot of time to think about good evidence, and I've been not outside a lot, so I haven't really gathered it. However, I did think of something brief. Many of you have read my book, thank you. And a gentleman read my book that happens to be in the entertainment business and a screenwriter. No names are mentioned, but we got to have a phone conversation the other day, long distance, to get to know each other because he's so enthusiastic. And it was 90 minutes. So I just want to say it was a great 90 minutes, and that was good evidence because I connected with someone that it just felt very synchronistic and like we had known each other for a long time. And this is not a romantic thing, because it could sound like it if you didn't know. It's just meeting a new friend that's an artist and a writer, and we had a lot and we connected and I felt really good. So if good evidence is what lights you up, that phone call lit me up. So thank you. The quotes today, I don't know, I'm not sure why, but I came upon two quotes by Helen Keller, born in 1880, and it's remarkable to me. I must watch the movie again, because how she was able to communicate later in her life, it's astounding. It's astounding. So I'm going to read you these two quotes. She was so wise. I am only one, but I am still one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do. It's just great. And I think it applies to right now. Just do what you can do. Just do what you can do. For instance, I have a friend who just turned 80, and she's very sensitive, and she told me she just can't stand hearing or talking about politics. However, she has always voted Democratic. So I'm going to make sure she votes, even though she has that feeling. I'm going to make it my business to make sure that she votes, because she will vote Democratic. So that's one thing, all right? Think about that. Here's the next quote. Until the great mass of the people shall be filled with a sense of responsibility for each other's welfare, social justice. I need to pause here. Until the great mass of the people shall be filled with the sense of responsibility for each other's welfare, social justice can never be attained. Which is very profound right now, is it not? I don't know if it can be attained. We will see. I'm going to make a Patreon a little later. So I'm saying that to my Patreon people. That'll be up tonight. And in closing, I'll see you soon. Make peace. Make memories. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.